Hello, this is Brian Hegney, instructor of game and interactive media design. Our third wine glass. We are going to start with a circle again, but we're going to do something a little different, and you're going to learn another tool, another creation tool. So I am going to go to Create Circle. I'm going to turn on my 3D snaps. I am going to unfreeze plane 3 so that I can draw another circle roughly the size of the base of that wine glass. Cool, just did it. I'm going to right click to turn off my circle mode or circle creation mode. And here's where things are going to get a little different. I am going to draw a line. Yes. I'm going to go into my front mode and I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to draw it from I'm going to turn off Vertex there. So I'm just going to draw from the midpoint. Let me make sure I'm drawing from the right spot. There we go. I was accidentally snapping to the midpoint of all of these edges. Okay. So I'm going to draw from here, and I'm going to draw this all the way up to here, to the midpoint of the top. Left click. Now in doing so, that makes that a very straight line. I'm going to right click now because I'm still in creation mode. Right click. And I'm going to, that stops this line. I could actually start drawing another line, but I'm not going to. I'm going to right click to disable the line creation tool. In total, I'm going to go to my modify tab now, and I'm going to go to the vertex selection mode of this line I just drew. I'm going to definitely turn off 3D snaps because I don't want them. I'm going to select this top vertex, and I'm going to move it until it pretty much is the same height as the glass in the image. Yay. Okay. And now I'm done. I'm going to disable vertex selection mode. And we're pretty much done with the setup. All right. I'm going to select the circle now. What we are going to do is create this wine glass using a loft method. And to do that, that's actually creating a compound object. So I'm going to go into the Create tool, Geometry, and instead of standard primitives, I'm going to choose Compound Objects. We are going to use the Loft creation method. What lofting does is you take a shape and you loft it along a path. And so what you'll notice here, we have two buttons here under the creation method. Get path or get shape. So this circle here is the shape that I'm going to loft along a path. Actually, what I'm going to do is right click, and I'm actually going to copy these things here. I'm going to make copies of these because I'm going to show you a little bit of how confusing this could be, potentially. Okay, so let's start off doing it right. Or should we start off doing it wrong? No, I'll do it right. I'm going to select that circle. I'm going to go into Compound Objects, go into Loft. Now I have the shape selected, so what I need to do is get the path. I have the shape, I need to get the path. And when I enable Get Path, I'm going to select on this straight path that I have here, right? So I'm going to click that. Hey, and what it does, it lofts that circle along that path. Okay. Now, just for fun, if I had created a different kind of line, so if I went into, I'm going to turn on 3D snaps for this. And right click, turn on vertex. There we go. So if I create a spline here that's kind of curved, this is going to be a fun one. Woo! There. Here's this wacky line that goes in 3D space. I'm actually going to give myself a whole bunch of segments. There we go. I'll give it 10 segments. If I were to loft this shape, this circle shape, using the Create Compound Objects, Loft, Get Path, and select this path, it lofts that circle along that path shape. in a weird way, evidently. That's odd. Okay, yeah. Now I could do it the other way. I could select this path, and if I had selected the path and clicked Loft and say Get Shape, all I have to do is select the shape, and in that sense, it actually starts with, it keeps the actual space of that path and lofts that shape around it. It's a great way to make 3D objects. You can see it's capped at both ends. It is completely a whole 3D object. Yay. All right, Command Z. Command Z. Let me go ahead and delete this path. It's also possible that you can loft a shape around itself. So if I go to this, if I select the circle and I go to Loft and I say Get Path, I can actually select itself. And what it does is that this is a circle lofted around itself as a circle, which is a torus. Just like you can loft, let's see, let me select this line. And I could loft this line. Let's see, I got this. Let's pretend that's a shape. I'm going to get the path and select that. Now this is a line lofted along a line. Not very fun. I guess I could have considered this a path and I could get the shape. Again, a line lofted along a line. So you could see it's easy to do it incorrectly, and you have to know, do you have the path selected or do you have the shape selected, and what does that mean? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and delete these that I copied, and I'm going to turn off 3D snaps. And I'm going to show you the next step, because this does not look like a wine glass. So let's select it and figure out what we can do. I'm going to select this and I'm going to go into the Modify tab. Now the Modify tab, it's called Loft 001. So it turned this into a completely new object. There's no circle, there's no line, it's just called Loft 001. But actually, if we twirl down the loft, we can see, hey, there's a shape and there's a path. I bet if we can select the shape, that is the circle shape, and if we can select the path, and this path opens up a line, and I can now select the line, and I could actually select the previous vertex and like move it and stuff, and that will change the direction of the of this loft. Okay, if that makes sense. All right, but I don't want to do any of that. I just want to kind of come up here and select the loft shape in general. So if you twirled all of that down, twirl them back up, select the loft at the top, and there's one thing I'm going to play with to make the wine glass shape, and it is the Scale Deformation. So in your command panel, look down at the Scale Deformation. Everything is turned off. We're going to click Scale, and that's going to open this cool little graph that I'm going to make bigger. And scale means, like you see this 100 at the top here and 0 in the middle. If I were to click this vertex point on this graph, make sure I have the movement tool selected at the top of this Scale Deformation window, and drag this down to about 0, when I let go, you will see the overall shape of this 3D object represents this graph, right? So let me put this back up to 100. And notice I can actually select this vertex, and on the bottom of my Scale Deformation window, I can double click here and say, you know what, set that to 100 exactly. So what can we do with this? Well, number one, I want to make the base and the stem here. So what I'm going to do is use a tool here. And we only have 2 points right now, the beginning and the end. Well, that's not helpful. So what I'm going to do, whoops, so let this back up to 100, is I'm going to create a couple new points here. And there's 2 different points I can create. You see this little thing that looks like an explosion here? That's actually adding a point. I'm going to go ahead and insert corner points. We're going to change them later on, but I'm going to insert a corner point right about here. So when you enable this insert corner point and click right there, what you see is, I'm going to zoom into the bottom of this glass here, is it made some new edge loops. What I'm going to do is move this. No, I'm going to add a third point, and that third point I'm going to now, right there, it's very close, got three things close together, and I'm going to enable the move control point, and I'm going to move this, whoops, enable it, I'm going to move it down here until it moves it in there, right? And what I can do here, let me just move this up, move it up, there we go. I'm going to add another point here, and I will move this as well. There. Now, if you want to constrain these movements, I can hold down my left mouse button on that move in 2 axes and select just one of those axes. There. Now we'll only move it up and down in value, not left and right in 3D space. There we go. And when you want to move it left and right in 3D space, you just switch your axis there. There we go. Now the last thing I'm going to do, not the last thing, the next thing I can do is select this vertex and right-click it. And remember when we created the original wine glass and we right-clicked and chose, switched vertices from corner points to Bezier corner to Bezier. Well, guess what? We have Bezier smooth here. And I can move these little handles just like that, just like we did with the other stuff. But what I'm going to do is probably turn this into a Bezier corner so that I can move this handle up like that. There we go. And again, it's kind of like a dance between moving the verts and changing them into Beziers or not. The last thing I'm going to show here is I need to zoom in to this portion to really get this part of the base correct. So I'm going to use this zoom tool at the bottom right, and I'm going to left click and drag this until I zoom in. I'm going to reposition there. Left click and drag to the left to zoom in. Where's that up? Sorry, left click drag up to zoom in, and then reposition in the windows using these sliders. I'm definitely going to right click now to go to move mode. Right click this vert and call it Bezier smooth, and reposition both the position of the vertex and the position of these control handles. So until I have the right here, let's do that. That's could be it. It's probably good enough. I'm not going to close this yet. I'm going to zoom out to show you what I have here. All right, so what we have is the bottom of the glass done, and the top of it needs to be done by just adding some more control points and moving them and scaling them. So I'm going to stop here, and in the next video you'll see what I've done. Okay, all right, bye.